Hello and welcome to my spoiler review for Frozen Fever. And boy, do we have a lot to discuss. But first, I want to emphasize once more that this is my spoiler review. I have seen the short Frozen Fever. If you have not yet seen it and you want to avoid spoilers, then you can check out my non-spoiler review, which is also up right now, and then come back once you've seen the short. But if you've already seen the short like myself, or you just can't help yourself, then as I said, we have a lot to discuss. And as always, if there's a specific character you're interested in, you can skip directly to that part of the video via the annotations that are listed in the video description. That way, anyone watching, be it on their computer or their phone, can skip around to the parts that they're the most excited to hear. All right, now let's get started. We're going to start off, of course, with Elsa, and there are so many things to discuss about her in this short. Now, I think number one, we have to talk about her changing powers. I couldn't discuss that in my non-spoiler review, but here, let's go to town. And she really goes to town, by the way, throwing this birthday party for her sister Anna. And I would like to say that was a really nice aspect to the short, that she feels bad she missed out on so many birthdays, and I'm glad that she's a big enough person to admit it, that she actually says to Anna, "You've spent so much time or so many birthdays on the other side of my locked door, it's time that we spend one together." So I thought that was a wonderful sentiment and showed that even though they were apart for so long, the bond that they forged when they were little, of course before the accident with Elsa's ice powers, is still very strong. I think that's wonderful. So, and I think it's an important thing to teach anybody. I was going to say kids, but I think all of us with siblings would like to know this lesson and remember it. It's that, you know, it doesn't hurt to be the bigger person for the sake of the relationship. So I like that. But then I don't understand why Anna wouldn't be like, when Elsa changed her dress, I'd be like, whoa, 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 birthday pause. How the heck did you do that? They never explained it. I guess that her dress is made out of ice molecules, I guess, but I don't understand how she can change the colors of those ice molecules. I mean, like, the different blue and white, because it's ice, makes sense, but to get a dress of pink and green, I just had no idea where that came from. It really threw me for a loop, and I really wanted to address it, but hopefully we'll address it going forward. And then, of course, here's the big surprise. When she has a cold, she sneezes and just, boop, creates those little snowmen and brings them to life. And that was quite the reveal. I mean, that's like powers gone awry. I mean, as we always like to say, if she was at Xavier's school, she would be in much better shape. But if that would be the kind of development where Hank would put you in the lab and say, we got to watch this because, every time you sneeze, you create, beings that are alive. You've created the gift of life by accident. And not just one, like 4 or 5 at a time. I mean, like, who knows what happens when she'll cough, or, it could be a legitimate problem for the kingdom. And she generates quite a lot of these little guys. We'll talk about them a little bit more when we get to Olaf. But it was an interesting development, but one that I think needed to be addressed a little bit more. They were cute, but they were also copious. So I thought that the power situation was very interesting, but only briefly hinted at, and perhaps intentionally, because they certainly they have me wanting more, at least in terms of an explanation, right? The other thing that I liked was that she did address herself as a queen. As I said in my non-spoiler review, I wish that Elsa would spend more time attending to her, queenly duties, because she doesn't have a king. She's the ruler of the kingdom herself. I'm sure Anna is supposed to be an advisor, but there should be other people that she has to interact with. She should care about her people, her subjects. And I still think that it's almost, just like all the perks of the job are being what's highlighted, like queen in name only or in dream only. And I think that some of the realities, which could make for some great teaching tools, or again, anyone of any age, are at hand here and they're not being utilized. So that's one aspect that I feel Elsa still needs a little work. And I did like that she was genuinely sick and almost actually fell to her death, which was an interesting choice on the part of the story team there. But thankfully Anna was there to catch her. So that was good. Now let's move on to Anna. I think Anna is good here. She's growing on me, I have to say. She's a little too spunky sometimes for me. I mean, I think you can be a little too spunky if it is combined with sloppiness. I think a lot of times she looks before she leaps, which is a very true character trait, but something you would think someone would eventually grow out of, or at least improve with a little bit. But here, I think she's portrayed quite nicely. I love her sunflower dress and her hair. I actually liked her outfit more than Elsa's. I just thought it was very cheery and really representative of her personality, and it really was a big departure from her previous outfit. Elsa just really changed colors and motif, whereas Anna actually wore something else. I have to say, when she took a bite of her sandwich while she was listening to the choir, that was just really charming for some reason. It was a very little detail, but I really liked it, and it was kind of Anna in a nutshell. That she's, it's so great to see a Disney princess eat on screen. Everybody always, for instance, used to talk about how Belle never ate anything during the Be Our Guest sequence. So I think she had a lick of the gray stuff, but that was it, or something that she tasted there. But I think that seeing Anna chow down there on that sandwich was, I think, a really nice character trait and a nice thing for anyone watching to see. Then I thought at the end, when she was saying, the best birthday gift is to take care of my sister, I thought that was really nice because, it's a two-way street. She doesn't hold a grudge. She's not like, yeah, you locked me out of your room for a really long time. Now it's my turn to be, waited on and pursued. I think that, they put all of that behind them. And it was also, I think, very true to Anna's personality. So I thought that was a cute ending, although I have to say, Elsa still hasn't changed out of her dress at the end. And she has that little sweater from Oaken's Trading Outpost on, but I'd be like, can you at least whip up some ice pajamas? It's a little distracting at this point. Where'd your train go? Are you just sitting on it in some kind of ice ball? I think that might be why you have a cold. All right, so moving on, Olaf. I love that they had an ice cream cake, by the way, for this birthday party. On a side note, my family loves ice cream cakes, particularly chocolate cake with vanilla ice cream and that kind of blue frosting. So to see it here, it just kind of made it, for some reason, it made it seem more, like it hit home more. I just connected to it more. So I think an ice cream cake is a really great idea. Although, to some degree, doesn't that make Olaf and the Snowmen cannibals? That's a much deeper question that I don't think Disney wants to answer. But I thought the cake was beautiful, and I thought that was a very clever touch and a nice surprise while watching the short. Just, like a nice little flourish. Olaf, he was fun. I thought they had good lines for him. They were able to build on the character traits that were established in the short without making him seem like just that he was trying too hard. For instance, I can't spell or read, or I'm not going to stay put. I'm going to probably walk around a bit. Very Olaf-y things to say that I think make him the likable character that he has become. Also, I like that he had so many siblings and that he named them. And I thought it was interesting they went to the ice castle, Elsa's ice castle in the mountains, and apparently Marshmallow's just watching out for it for the time being. It's closed up for who knows how long. And it made me wonder, how is this being utilized? I think, either let it melt or do something with it, make it something for the people to use, again, her subjects, or I guess Olaf and his little snow people are going to live there. That's a big family, but I'd be curious to see what they have in store for that castle going forward, especially considering a lot of the concept art that we saw for the different rooms they imagined when they felt they were going to maybe spend more time in that location for the original film. But I think they have a lot of great ideas that I'd like to see them have the chance to implement. Then next, Kristoff. Kristoff was very charming. I think they made him did a good job of depicting him as a great boyfriend who, isn't needy, doesn't need Anna's constant attention, and, is happy to just get along with both sisters. They showed him being friendly with Elsa, which I thought was very nice. And then, he and Sven can occupy their own time. They have their own stuff to do, man. They've got their own ice business to run, and they're not like, oh, why isn't Anna spending a lot of time with me? Why doesn't she follow me around? It just was more realistic to, I think, actual relationships are like. When you bring someone into your family, after you fall in love, they meet your family and become a part of that. And Kristoff very much seemed like a part of the family. I also like that he said, I love you to Anna in a very Kristoff-like way. So I thought that was cute, and it was nice to see their relationship take some baby steps forward. That's kind of a big step, actually, but they kind of swept it under the rug a little bit to be addressed at a later point. Also, though, he's still doing that annoying thing where he talks to Sven and does Sven's voice, and that's one of those things where you're like, someone should talk to Kristoff about that. It was okay when we were dating, I let it go, but I think maybe he should, transition out of that. It still kind of irks me a little bit, but I'm curious if you guys find it endearing. Then, here's a big surprise. Hans showed up, and I thought it was funny. He's shoveling poop on the Southern Isles and some stable, and that's the exact same punishment that befalls Nicole Kidman's villain in Paddington. So apparently in family movies, shoveling poop is a fate worse than prison. But it was funny that he showed up there. Elsa inadvertently aimed right for him with her sneeze ball. That's frozen sneeze, Hans. Ew, I didn't even think of that now that I think about it. But I think that to bring him up here and show him maybe means there are some kind of plans for Hans later on. He hasn't been forgotten by the story team, and they don't want you to forget him either. So I thought that was very interesting. Then two more things to discuss. Arendelle. I felt that Arendelle still isn't really well defined, especially because, these sisters have been isolated for so long growing up. Their family shut them away. They were shut away from each other. They have a whole musical number in the movie about how Anna hasn't been out in the world and it's just been a shut-in. And it's a little Grey Gardens-y. So the fact that Arendelle still isn't established as a community and it doesn't seem really like they've actually gone out into the outside world yet, I think doesn't do a lot to alleviate the Grey Gardens feel. They're still just hanging out in this castle with no servants, no advisors because they're royalty, no subjects. There's like no friends. I'm glad they're each other's friends and family can be the best friends, but I'm surprised that they haven't created this feeling of opening the doors, truly. So I'd like to see Arendelle a little bit better established. But it was great that Oaken showed up and that they did kind of go out into town, even though apparently Elsa told everybody to get lost and take a hike for her sister's birthday. It was their time. Then finally the song, a lot of, people talked about the song. A big deal was made about it because, Robert Lopez and Kristen Anderson Lopez wrote a new song for this short, and it's fine. It matches the tone of the soundtrack from the film, but it just didn't really stand out to me. It stood out more as I said in my non-spoiler review, it stood out more to me actually in the trailer. But here, I think they were taking so many breaks from the song, and the things that they were doing in the short didn't really emphasize what they were singing about. It just didn't really resonate for me. I mean, it was pleasant, but there were so many other things I guess were distracting me that I just was talking about. So I think that maybe they didn't need a song. I mean, I think that if the song wasn't going to make that big of an impression, I would have focused a little bit more on story and maybe answering a few of these questions or beginning to answer them instead of having characters break into song. But I'm curious to what you think. If you've seen the short, share your thoughts down below. Thank you so much for tuning in, and you can check out some more episodes right now.